not resolved. So it's, I think, in everybody's best interest that the applicant withdrew. They could then get sort of to the nitty gritty of what they truly need along the west, if they need anything. And hopefully, if they do come back, it will be, you know, before you one time instead of coming back to you multiple times.
Well, certainly I saw a number of things that concerned me when I started to look at that a little bit closer. He's only asking, at least on this application here, for one variance, and that's the front lot line from the street. And and I live in R1 zone, and the side yards are all 6 feet. And I don't think that's changed. And he's got that thing built right up to the thing. And has the city even been inspecting that thing? Because it looks half built already. And it's got right up to the side yard. It's right on the property line. And so. Oh, okay, there, sorry. It's built right up to the property line and it's being built. So is the city inspecting that? Did he bother to get a permit for that? A lot of questions there.
Right.
Maybe-
There's no permit, which is why he's in this situation right now. There's a code enforcement case opened it on it as well. So yeah, there is a need to get this resolved quickly before because it is in citation. So they need to address it.
Thank you. Any other questions on that one? Nope. Okay. Is that it for a study session?
Anything else? Nothing. The only other item I wanted to mention before the board is that on the agenda, under other business, I added an item there to discuss about the meetings as far as scheduling and location. That's an error on my part. We actually do need to agendize that item as a public hearing in order to be in compliance with the open meeting laws. So I will actually agendize that item on the next public hearing so we can talk about it. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay, thanks.
And that's all I have.
Well, I think we can close the study session then, yeah? See you all back here at 1:30.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I have 131 now. Want to get started?
And Mr. Chair, if you'd like, I could call the roll call. Starting with Bruce Dawson. Here. Robert Valencia. Not present. Michael Marks.
Here.
Present. Irma Duran. Not present. Denise Bowles. Not present. Michael Schaff. And Araceli Juarez. We will check on those, but in the immediate, we do have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Is that working?
Okay, it's better. Sorry, okay, thank you. Okay, we do have a quorum.
Mr.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Just a correction on the roll call. We also do have Robert Valencia remotely. He did say he was having audio issues, but he did send in a chat that's saying he is present.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Tucson's Board of Adjustments. This meeting is being recorded. By joining, you are giving consent for this meeting to be recorded. An introduction of each case will be made by staff. At the conclusion of staff's presentation, the applicant will, or the applicant's representative will have the opportunity to speak. For the record, please tell the board your name and address and state your request. At the conclusion of the applicant's presentation, other persons wishing to speak in favor of the request may come forward and state their support. When called by the chair of the board, those wishing to speak in opposition to the applicant's request may come forward and state their protest. The chair may allow applicant the opportunity for a brief rebuttal. The chair will then close the public hearing and open it up to discussion by the board members. At the conclusion, the board discussion, a motion will be made and if seconded, will then be voted upon. All presentations today must be directly solely to the board and not to staff or members of the audience. All presentations to the board must also be only on those items brought before the board. Presentation on matters unrelated to the request will not be heard. A decision of the Board of Adjustments may be appealed to Superior Court of Pima County by filing a complaint for special action with the Pima County Superior Clerk's Office within 30 days of the board's decision. For additional information on this filing process, please contact the Superior Court Clerk's Office or an attorney after today's public hearing. If you are going to give testimony today, please be brief and to the point. Repetition of testimony already given by other witnesses is not necessary. The chair may invoke a time limit if deemed necessary. Before you testify, please remember to sign in at the roster sheet or a clipboard at the podium. If you are joining us remotely, please state your name and address for the record. All testimony to the board must be given under oath. If you are going to speak or think you might speak today, please stand at this time and raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Reminder, please turn all cell phones off or on silent mode. If you are joining us remotely, please be sure to mute yourself or turn your cameras off unless you are addressing the board. Mr. Castro, please call our first case.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Our first case is C10-26-05, Stone Brothers Developers LLC, 640 North Stone Avenue, C3. The applicant's property is an approximately 0.56 acre lot, Zone C3 Commercial, and is developed with several buildings and storage. The applicant is proposing new building additions, bathrooms, covered patio, and a pad for a shipping container. The applicant is requesting the following variance. 1, delete the required 20-foot street setback as measured from the new buildings to the east lot line, all as shown on the submitted plans. Planning and Development Services recommendation. Planning and Development Services staff has no objection to the applicant's requested variance. It is the opinion of staff that there are special circumstances applicable to the property that granting of the variances will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood which the property is located, and that the variances requested are the minimum needed to afford relief and the least modification possible of those EDC provisions which are in question. To date, we have received a total of 0 written approvals and 1 written protest. And for the record, the board members have been provided a copy of that comment. And Mr. Chair, members of the board, this concludes staff's presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for staff on this case?
Yes, I have 1 or 2. This is Michael Marks.
Okay, Michael.
I apologize if this was discussed during the study session, but while I was present, I wasn't able to hear any of that. But that audio issue has been cleared up, and I can hear everything right now. So if I understand, the request is for a variance of the setback along the east boundary. There currently are structures along the east boundary. Is that not correct?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Marks, that is correct.
So is the proposal to replace the existing structures with new structures?
Mr. Chair and Mr. Marks, so the proposal is to add additional storage buildings along the east property line. So what's existing there will remain. They are adding looks like 2 new structures along the east, and that's what the variance is for.
Well, I look forward to the presentation showing where that location is, but according to the aerial photograph I'm looking at, there's very little room for anything more. So I'll defer to the presentation and then ask about that then. Otherwise, that's all I have at this point.
Any other questions? Hearing none, let's go directly to the presentation from the applicant. Is the applicant here or online?
Hello, everybody. My name is George Sazueta. I'm with Kiwis Architecture Company. My address is 4861 South Hotel Drive, Suite 125, Tucson, Arizona, 85714. And yes, I am present. Is it available for me to be able to share my screen so I can show everybody the site plan and we can discuss the development?
Yeah.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it available on the screen?
He's about to turn it on.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Can everybody see the site plan being projected?
More or less. Yeah.
More or
Yes.
less. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fantastic. Yeah. All right. So the project consists of adding some additional buildings to the existing development here. Mark, you were questioning some of the aerial photography does show some buildings that have been built. The building right here where my cursor is, hope you could see that. is one of the buildings, and then the second building that is also being proposed is over here towards the north of the property. So the first building that I pointed to is between two existing buildings. That building itself was constructed without permits, and that's why one of the reasons why we are here. And then the second building got partially built, but there was an existing structure that is going to be demoed and replaced with a new building to conform to newer standards. Everything else on the south is existing. There is a patio on the west end of the building over here on the south that will be part of this development. There's also a set of restrooms that are here on this corner, the southeast corner, that's going to serve as public restrooms for this little mini development. And then also in the middle, there's going to be a pad available for a shipping container to be able to be placed there in front of that. And then everything to the west is going to be parking that's going to be rearranged to accommodate this new development. The building over to the north are both existing, and they are abutting the north property line. So there is open alley between the buildings. It's just a corridor for access for the current and the future tenants to be able to access into these new buildings towards the east side of the property.
I have a question. Where is the shipping container up in that northeast corner?
The shipping container is going to be, I'm going to highlight it with red here, right there in the middle of the development.
Okay. I'm not seeing it.
You don't see the red mark I just made?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, let
Oh,
me
all
see
right.
if I could
Oh,
make
all
it.
right.
Yeah, maybe that helps right there.
Oh, right. Okay, I see it now.
Yes, yes.
What is the more highlighted structure up in the upper northeast corner?
Yes, this structure right here is a proposed storage building.
Okay. And the restroom is down in that lower southeast corner, right?
That is correct. I will highlight it for you just to give you a better visual there. That's that one right there.
Okay. Is that going to replace a restroom that's already there, or what?
That's gonna be, so that restroom needs to be modified. There is an existing restroom there, but it needs to be modified to current ADA standards.
Okay.
So it will be modified in that case.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is Michael Marks.
Yes. Okay, Michael.
Yeah, I've got a question or two. First of all, I'd like to understand the land use. Could you just give a brief description of the overall project? Is there some coherent land use to all these different buildings, or is that not the case? And then secondly, I'd like to ask about the setback that exists for the buildings that do already exist along the east boundary. Are they all at a zero setback? So, and then the new building, is that at a zero setback as well along the east boundary?
So I don't know if that question was directed to me or the chairman.
That was to yourself.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, so let me explain what the current uses are. On the north, we have tenant 1 and 2. These are existing retail tenants. The building just to the east of that, that is attached to those two tenants, is an existing, right now, I believe it's vacant, but it's supposed to be storage. It's labeled as storage on this development here. The tenant spaces, I'm gonna go over here to the south. On the south here, there's a temporary occupant there that will be used this for food service. So this will be a proposed food service space there. And then along the east here, we have proposed storage and retail on this property. I believe that the southeasternmost corner here of the development was like residential use, and we're going to scrap that use and make it part of tenant number 6, which is a retail shop. Right north of that, there is kind of more of an exercise space just north of the existing residential. And then the new space, that's highlighted right there in the middle, just north of this exercise space, is a storage. It's meant to be a storage use. Same thing with the space that's going to be proposed all the way up to the north. That's going to be also storage. And then between these two new buildings is a existing tenant that its use is retail.
Okay, I think that answers that, and I appreciate that. Could you respond to the question regarding the setback along the east boundary of the existing structures?
Yes, I can. So the existing tenant that's retail here, the exercise and the residential structure are all 0 lot lines. They're all up against the east side of the property. The proposed buildings that include the tenant storage and the storage to the north are being proposed to be on the 0 light line to have that continuity as the previous buildings that were there before.
So let me follow up. With respect to the existing structures that are a 0 setback, were they built in accordance with any approved plans, or were they built prior to building codes going into effect, or how did they come to be along that 0 lot line?
Yeah, good question. I don't know the history of when these two new buildings were added to the property. There were permits that have been dated. I don't have the exact date for you, but there was permitting for expansion to the original footprint of these buildings, especially kind of like here on the south structure. But I don't recall what the dates were, but there were some permitting involved for those buildings.
Okay. I may come back to that, but let's jump to the very northeast building. And I understand that we've got an east boundary setback of 0. What is the north boundary setback there?
On the north, there's an existing 8-inch block wall that is right up to the property. The idea is to remove that block wall and replace it with the building wall that's at 0 lot line as well.
Is that in conformance with the code?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, let me just move on to the last subject, and that's the neighborhood outreach. And as you know, there is one protest of the property owner abutting to the north. Could you just give me a brief summary of the neighborhood meeting and any outreach to that property owner or any others that might have expressed some reservation?
Yes, of course. We sent out the mailings, per the standard process of sending out the letters. we did get a response back from the neighbor to the north. This neighbor immediately sounded like they were against, any part of this property being developed. This was before the neighborhood meeting that we received notice that they were not liking to the development, but we did still have that date for us to meet with the neighbors. There were 2 neighbors that did show up to the neighborhood meeting, myself included, and the owner of the property was also present. And the meeting went on for an hour. And the neighbor to the north, even though they live and they operate right there next to us, decided not to show I guess to voice their concerns to the group. So we did make notice of the people that were there and some of the comments that they did have concerns with, and we noted those and turned those in as part of this variance meeting.
Okay. Thank you for the response.
Mhm.
That's all I have at this point.
Are there any further questions for the presenter?
I have a question. It sounded like from the study session that one of the items that's come up on this project is parking requirements and that they're underparked on this site. Are any of these new buildings adding any additional need for more parking?
Yes, they are, of course. As it is being close to the downtown area, most of these lots do not have the adequate parking spaces to house them inside the properties themselves. So yes, I mean we are proposing uses that have less intensity in parking. So we are proposing storage for these new buildings to accommodate, the less intense use of the parking spaces. We are doing our best to improve the parking that is available on the west part of the property. But to answer your question, yes, anytime we add square footage to a property, it will impact parking.
How far underparked are they? Can they even meet the maximum reduction requirement?
No, of course, like I said before, the site is the way it has been designed and used, does not have the adequate parking spaces. So we are applying for an individual parking plan to see if that could be satisfied with that. There is public parking around the neighborhood. That's why we did specify the number of parking spaces that are in and around our site. But that's a different request that we are applying for separately.
And I guess this is a question to city representatives. Is there even a possibility that a parking plan can be approved for the site?
Mr. Chair, Ms. Juarez, yes, so there is the option of using an individual parking plan to adjust the parking requirements. Until we get the information, we cannot say whether or not it would be likely to be approved. So again, yeah, they do have the opportunity to do that, and it's going to just be based on the information that they have.
So our approval of eliminating the 20-foot setback is still contingent on the city approving their layout. So they may or may not approve additional buildings on this lot. And it doesn't matter whether we've approved the 20-foot setback requirement.
So the approval, if the board should decide to approve the setback, it's merely just for the setback. The parking, to address the parking requirement will be an entirely separate issue. There is, as the applicant has stated, that there is a direct correlation between square footage and the number of parking spaces. But whatever they decide to do, if they're to do anything in the future to this site or anything, a variance would be needed in order to meet the or to eliminate the setbacks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, this is
Mr.
Mike
Chairman?
Schaaf. So as far as I understand it, the variance for the setback isn't going to affect the parking, but the parking could affect the usage of those buildings. Is that right?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Schaaf, yes, square footage and use will determine parking requirements. But there is, again, another option for further exploration, as been mentioned, for the parking reduction plan. This is an area with significant street parking around it. Like I park near there every day I come to work. There's an abundance of street parking. There are transit opportunities both along Stone and nearby in University. So I agree with Mr. Castro that it's hard to commit, but it does seem feasible that they could get a parking reduction approved despite even adding these new uses. One positive is what we're seeing here is most of the current parking area is to the west. They're not placing any buildings in the area that does constitute parking today. They'll be adding to the amount of parking requirements, but for the most part, a lot of the new uses will not be sort of gobbling up existing parking.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if I could add, a certificate of occupancy would not be issued for any new building without a fully compliant site. So, just because you're approving the reduction in the setback, that doesn't mean that they'll be able to occupy the building without solving the parking issue.
Yeah, I have one further question. You mentioned residential. Where is this residential and what's the character of that residential space?
Oh, yes. The corner building here on the southeast is a residential structure that is going to be replaced with just like a vanilla shell type for a retail tenant. So the use of residential is going to be removed from the existing. So that's what the existing structure is right now. But the proposal is to remove the residential use from it.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions for the hearing? None? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we actually have board member Denise Bowles on who has joined the meeting, and she does have her hand raised.
Okay, I was going to ask if there was anyone else going to speak in favor of this.
Can you hear me okay?
I
Hello?
believe so. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I do have a couple of questions. Thank you for the information that you provided. The first question is, with this variance and this build out and the changes, will you be able to accommodate with within a rational ratio for handicap? And is there a way for people to maneuver between the vehicles and pedestrians? And is this the parking behavior issue, will you have a reasonable timeline? Because I heard you say, if I'm not incorrect, that the variance doesn't affect the parking and the parking will be for a later conversation. But will that conversation be had at a reasonable time? Will it be executed in a reasonable time?
Yes, to answer your question, yes, that is in process right now. To answer your question about ADA accessibility, we are providing ADA accessibility from the sidewalk from Stone and even the parking spaces. There is a sidewalk that will be created that will connect the sidewalk from Stone to the development on the north side. And then the accessible path will continue all the way south to the southern buildings, where there's actually an accessible parking that is proposed. And then the individual inside the property, there will be accessible path to the restrooms from all the tenants that need to use it. So there is a sidewalk being proposed on this inside perimeter there.
And did you do a study on the traffic circulation and the safety compared to how it exists today?
No, I did not.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Mike Marks. I want to ask just one more question regarding the parking. I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. For the project as it is today, and this question may be for the applicant or it may be for staff, but is there already a substandard number of spaces provided as with respect to what is required?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the current configuration of parking is not meeting today's standards. I believe with this, and just taking a step back, the parking and full site approval occurs on a development package, which will also be associated with this variance. So an approval of the overall site, including the parking issues that we're discussing now, will have to be remedied by the time of issuance of the development package. So just to kind of answer your question about timing and when that would occur, it would have to occur before the development package is issued.
Yeah, but I think it ought to be known already to what extent there is a insufficient number of parking spaces. There would be, along with this development package, a calculation of the required number of spaces as is, and then a provided, and it would be known as to what the deficit is. And then also there would be an understanding of the requirement of parking as far as the change in the number required with the additional space that is being proposed. It seems to me then there is an increased deficit with the project over the already existing deficit. Is that not correct?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, as mentioned earlier, any increase in square footage would increase the required number of parking spaces on site. So by adding additional square footage as proposed on your screen here, that would increase the required number on site, and the site is already non-conforming for parking. They are trying to add additional parking and formalize what they can on their site. But I believe on the development package that was submitted to us as reviewed by staff, the parking calculations were not provided at that time.
Okay, well, thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that? So if there's an inadequacy and there was no study made, that means that we're working off of assumptions. Is that correct? And we're not sure what the impact is?
Mr. Chair, I believe that was Ms. Bowles.
Dr. Bowles.
Dr. Bowles, sorry about that. This is a step towards bringing the property into compliance. So, it's a chicken before the egg. They've selected to go with the variances first for the buildings, but this isn't the end of the story. They will not receive permits for said buildings until the entire site is perfected. The site could be perfected again in different ways. There will be further discussion and study regarding the parking. So it is correct that right now I don't think anybody is perfectly prepared to describe the amount of parking available, the amount of what's required before the additions, primarily because a lot of these uses are non-conforming, grandfathered, been fairly fluid over the years. But now is the time when the applicant is coming in to perfect the site, and is our opportunity to bring it to compliance.
Okay. So can I ask, do we know coming into compliance and things are grandfathered, and when you're adding additions to a property, you now have to operate with current code. Do we know how many parking spots need to be made available with this? Or is that, I probably missed that part of the beginning, but if you could just clarify that piece, that would be great.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's a valid question. We do have parking calculations. And the total parking required are 35 spaces based on our calculations, and the total parking spaces available provided are 16.
And you said that there would be additional parking created on the backside of the building? Because if we're taking away space, where do we add the additional space for parking?
We're not taking away any of the existing spaces. If you could see in the aerial here, cars are parked on an east-west fashion direction. We're proposing to do north-south so we could fit more parking stalls. So the current parking, it's hard to tell what the configuration is because there's no legit parking striping available. There's only up front here where the retail spaces are. So what we're trying to do is just utilize that same parking area to reconfigure it to add more parking spaces than what you can park right now, and formally designate those parking spaces. But all the developed areas that I mentioned in my presentation will not take over any parking spaces. They're just infilling open spaces that are not accessible by vehicle.
Okay, because I was looking at the documents that were supplied in your aerial view, and it looks like the parking spaces have already been designated. So I was just trying to understand from all of this information, how do you add more to a space that's already limited and designed for parking, the existing parking? And maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but if you could just, that's what I was trying to get clarification on.
Oh, yeah. I think it's just a matter of how the parking that is existing, how it's laid out. And there's really no form to it. They're just parking, like I said, from east to west. There's no designated parking striping that you could be able to tell the configuration of how the people park.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any further questions for the applicant? Hearing none, we will move on. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Hearing none, we'll move on. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Hearing none, I will now close this public hearing on this case and open the discussion to the board. Got anything for it?
And this, sorry, this is the part between the board conversation.
Yes.
I would like to ask my colleagues, I don't think there's enough evidence presented. I'm not convinced that there's sufficient information has been provided to demonstrate that this request will not negatively affect parking availability, ADA accessibility, traffic circulation, pedestrian safety, and neighborhood properties. Given the absence of the traffic study and the parking analysis and the detailed evaluation of the proposed sidewalk improvements, I believe additional information should be provided before additional approvals is considered. And I asked my colleagues what they believe.
Well, if I'm understanding the thing question is that we're really only being asked to approve or disapprove one or two items here, and those are mostly setbacks. The issues around parking and accessibility, I think he addressed some of that, at least to my satisfaction. I'm assuming that the parking issue will be, as stated by the staff, is a completely separate issue.
Thank you for the clarification, sir. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, and if I understand correctly, the approval of this 20-foot setback removal doesn't approve the plan or in any way. It's just granting the variance so that the city can move forward with the review of the development plan and the viability of this project.
I would like to further add that there are already buildings built there, and some of them have already been approved and permitted with this setback or this lack of setback. So for us to approve this variance isn't going to affect, it makes no difference on the parking. The parking is what it is. The development, the further development and the certificate of occupancy and approval of these new buildings will all be taken care of at a later date.
That would be my understanding. Anybody else? I would be willing to entertain a motion if one of you would like to.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I move that we grant the following variance in case C10-2605. Want to delete the required 20-foot setback as measured from the new buildings to the east lot line, all as shown on the submitted plans.
I second.
Yeah, I'll second that as well.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is that a proper motion?
The motion's fine. I think we have a grand number of seconds.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. I will now call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Good, thank you. And this case is closed. Thank you. Good luck with your project. You got a lot of work ahead of you.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Moving on. Second case.
Mr. Chair, for the second case, we have C10-26-06. We do have the applicant present to do a formal request to withdraw the application.
Hello, everyone. This is Fernando Hinojosa, architect for, on behalf of the owner on address on East 5th Street. Per staff recommendations, we request to withdraw today's application.
Is that all that's required?
That's fine, Mr. Chair. If they don't want their application reviewed at this time, I'm sure they'll bring it back when it's ready.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, that takes care of the second case, doesn't it? Okay, let me look at my agenda. Where did I put that damn thing? Okay, with that being done, I will adjourn this session. Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Other business.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, as you can see, there was an item under other business for a meeting schedule and location to discuss. I will get this agendized on the next agenda so that we can do this in a public hearing setting, so we can be in compliance with open meeting laws.
Okay. Sounds.
That's all I have.
All right, that's good. All right. Any other old business? Thank you, everybody. We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.